you may proceed with your examination.
Thank you, Your Honor. Okay, I apologize for having to do this, but I need to make sure that, well, let me ask you about all your previous interviews and or testimony in this matter, just to make sure we're all on the same page. Do you recall speaking, well, do you remember who the first person who interviewed you about anything in this case was?
I don't remember any names. I believe it was though that Monday night. I did talk to the one police that we made the report with very briefly.
And this was when your mother made the report for a missing persons case?
Yes.
You actually gave a statement to the officer there?
I think I was just kind of chiming in with him. I didn't make any statements.
How many officers were present? And would this have been February 10th, 2014?
Yes, it would have been February 10th.
It would have been about 10-something at night?
Yeah.
And about how many officers were there, if you recall?
I believe it was just the one.
Okay. And then, do you recall who the next police officer who you may have been interviewed by was?
I believe that was the Thursday after I had found her stuff.
Okay, would that have been the officer who spoke with you at the Haiku residence?
No, I don't believe they were the same.
I'm sorry?
I don't believe they were the same.
Oh, no. Okay, so are we talking about when you showed up to the Haiku residence with the clothes and blanket that you testified?
Yes.
And would you, and that would have been February 13th at about 8:30 in the evening, is that accurate?
Yes.
So you remember speaking with an officer on that evening as well?
I do, yeah.
And then, would it be accurate to say that you spoke with Detective Dennis Lee the next day over in the same Paraquats area as on the 13th?
Yes.
And that in the course of speaking with Detective Lee, Detective Liu asked you a question as well regarding whether Carly needed a dentist or not, right?
Yes.
And that was just while you were speaking with Detective Lee, Detective Liu just asked you that real fast.
Yes.
And then, would it be accurate to say that your next interview with a police officer would have been Detective Liu on February 24th at about 11:46 in the morning at the Wailuku police station?
I believe so.
Would that have been an interview where your mother sat in the interview room?
Yes.
Yeah, are you vague about the date?
Yeah, all
Okay,
those
would
days.
looking at the report of that interview refresh your recollection as to the date of that interview?
Yes.
Okay, may I approach you on it?
You may.
Okay, has your recollection been refreshed? Would it be accurate to say that your... would it be accurate to say that your interview with Detective Liu would have been on February 24th, 2014 at 11:46 a.m.?
Yes.
And that present in that interview was Detective Liu and Detective Lee, is that accurate?
Yes.
As well as yourself and your mother.
Yeah.
And then, would it be accurate to say that your next police interview would have been on March 4th, 2014 at about 6:57 in the evening at the Wailuku Police Station with Detective Hamilton.
I believe so.
And if you're not sure, we're looking at, I guess, Detective Hamilton's report relative to your statement. Refresh your recollection.
Yes, it would.
May I approach, Your Honor?
You may.
Hamilton. Do you recall the date of that interview?
Yes.
Okay, what was that?
That was March 4th.
And was anybody else present during that interview? Other than Detective Hamilton?
No one in there during my interview.
What about Detective Dodds?
Was he in there? I believe so.
Are you aware of any other police interviews that you participated in other than what we've just gone over?
Not that I can recall.
Now, as far as previous testimony that you've done in this case, would it be accurate to say that back on July 11 of 2014, you testified at the grand jury proceeding in this matter?
Yes.
And then would it be accurate to say that you did similarly testify to another grand jury back in February of this year?
Yes, I did.
Now, relative to any sworn statements in the form of testimony, are you aware of any other statements of yours that exist relative to this case?
Not that I recall.
Okay, thank you. I think that covers that. Okay, I'd like to speak about the date of February 8th. You recall testifying about that date?
What year was that?
I'm sorry, 2014, sorry.
2014. I semi-remember.
This would have been Brooke's birthday,
Yes.
and that would have been the day that Charlie dropped you off at home after work so that you could go to Brooke's birthday. Is that accurate?
This is the 9th.
I'm sorry, on the 8th?
On the 8th. I can't recall if she dropped me off. I don't recall that day too well.
Okay. Do you recall whether you folks worked on that? Would that have been a Saturday?
Yes.
Did you remember working that Saturday or anything?
Yes, I do.
And remember how you got home?
Usually Charlie was the one to drop me off or take me back home after work.
Now, what were your plans when you went home on the 8th, that Saturday?
It was Brooke's birthday, so we were going to have a small dinner.
And who was coming over?
It was, from what I recall, Johnny, my mom, my sister Fiona, Max, Brooke, and Ryan.
And Carly was not invited. Charlie was not invited, correct?
No, she was not.
And that was purposely so, right?
Do you have objection? That calls for hearsay also. This goes beyond the scope of direct examination.
The objection is sustained.
Did Carly stay around when she dropped you off?
No, she did not.
Okay. If this was about a birthday party for Brooke, why did she not stay around?
Objection. This goes beyond the scope and is based on speculation at this point.
The objection is sustained.
Yeah, at some point, Charlie left. Did you folks have plans to hang out later?
On Saturday, no, not that I recall.
you recall that interview with Detective Dodds in Hamilton back on March 4th? Right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
This is page 13, Gerald. Didn't you tell those detectives that you guys had plans to get together after that birthday party, but we never called, and she said she figured that you guys would never call?
Judge, objection, this again is based on hearsay.
The objection is sustained.
Okay. We're looking, well, you testified today that you guys didn't have plans to meet up with Charlie after that party for Brooke, right?
Not that I recall.
Okay. Would looking at your interview with Detective Hamilton refresh your recollection relative to that?
It should,
May
yes.
I approach on it?
You may do so.
Now, wouldn't it be more accurate that you folks were planning to meet back up after that party?
Judge, objection, that's not how you refresh somebody's recollection. I object to the procedure.
The objection is sustained.
Was your recollection refreshed?
Sorry, what was that?
Was your recollection refreshed as to whether you folks had any plans after that party with Carly?
Somewhat.
And you'd agree with me that you told Detective Hamiltons and Dawes that you guys did have plans, but you just never called
Judge,
Carly back?
objection, counsel's testifying is based on hearsay, and her
Objection
recollection
is
has been, thank you.
Weren't you guys planning to watch a movie that night?
On Saturday?
Right.
I don't believe so.
Would taking a look at your transcript refresh your, well, are you sure of that?
I'm not positive. All those days kind of did bunch together.
Would looking at your transcript of your interview with that detectives refresh your recollection as to whether you folks were going to watch a movie later that night after your party or your dinner for Brooke?
Oh, yes.
Can they approach him?
You may do so.
Has your recollection been refreshed
Yes.
as to whether you guys had plans to watch a movie after the dinner for Brooke?
I believe in that statement I was talking about on the 10th and not after Brooke's birthday.
Well, you'd agree with me that the part that you're reading, you're talking about the Saturday, right? And if you don't know, I can...
Yeah, I would need to
May I approach
see.
again, Your Honor?
You may do so.
Can you, I guess, get a context of what we're talking about? Whether that is talking about the Saturday or the Sunday? Can you go, I guess, as far back on the transcript to figure it out as well? Is your recollection refreshed as to whether that refers to Saturday or the Sunday?
Yes, it is the Saturday.
So we are talking about Saturday, February 8th.
Yes.
So you folks have a birthday dinner for Brooke while Carly goes home, or Charlie goes home, right?
The
Yes.
objection needs to be asked and answered. At this point, it's getting too late.
Foundation.
The objection is overruled.
And after she leaves, or before she leaves, you folks had made plans to meet up later on to watch a movie, right?
Yes.
And you had expressed, or you folks had expressed to her that you guys would call her later on for that, right?
Objection, Your Honor, this is all based on hearsay at this point.
The objection is sustained.
Your plan was to call Carly later on to meet up with her for that movie, right?
Yes.
But you didn't call her, right?
No.
Okay, if we turn to February 9th, and then just to be clear, in terms of February 8th, did you see Charlie again after she left?
No, I had not.
If we could turn to February 9th, your testimony was that you worked a full day at the UI,
Yes.
and Carly worked a half day and left at about 12 to 12:30, is that correct?
Yes.
And your testimony is that Carly came back to pick you up at about 4:15 p.m.?
Yes.
Would it be your testimony that you spent all Sunday with her?
Not all Sunday.
Do you recall being interviewed by Detective Lou back on February 22nd, right?
Yes.
That's not what you tell Detective Lou, is it?
I don't recall.
Isn't it true that you tell Detective Lou,
What page, Counsel?
page 2, that you actually do spend all Sunday with Carly?
I did not recall that.
Okay, looking at your transcript of your interview with Detective Lou on February 22nd, refresh your recollection as to whether you told him that.
Yes.
Can we approach on it?
Yes.
Page
2.
Okay.
Has your recollection been refreshed as to what you told Detective Lou relative to the amount of time that Charlie spent with you on Sunday?
Yes.
And what did you tell Detective Lou?
I agreed with him when he asked me if I had spent all Sunday with her.
Are you saying that he asked you a leading question and you just answered yes?
Objection, that's not their testimony with respect to the leading question.
I think I'm clarifying that, and
That's a
The
legal
objection.
conclusion.
The objection is sustained.
are you trying to say that you were just answering a question that Detective Lou was answering you, asking you?
Yes.
Well, you're not going to answer it untruthfully, right?
No.
Or inaccurately, right?
No.
And so when he asked you, did you spend all Sunday with with Charlie, you agreed?
I did agree at that time, yes.
So you actually told Detective Lou ultimately that you spent all day with Charlie, right?
I had agreed, yes.
And what we're talking, may I approach Your Honor for that?
He may.
What we're talking about is going to an event on the 9th, I think you testified about going to an event on the 9th at the Hui that was about local artists showcasing their work.
Yeah.
And who were all the people that went from your family?
It was my mom, Fiona, Max, Brooke, and Ryan.
And it sounded like from your testimony that they all were just wanted to go, and it was basically just kind of like a family day.
Yeah,
So you didn't make anybody go.
I did. I had insisted that they all go.
And that is the reason why they went, because you made them go, right?
Yes.
Your Honor, objection, it calls for speculation.
The objection is sustained.
No, she acknowledged it.
Judge, this calls for speculation as to what was in their minds.
The objection is sustained.
In your mind, how did you make them go?
Objection, Your Honor, this calls for speculation is irrelevant.
The objection is sustained.
At some point following the event at the Hui, you folks gather up over at Brooke's place?
Yes.
About what time was that?
I would have to say around 6.
And about what time did Charlie stay there till?
It was after 8.
And would it be accurate to say that your observations of Charlie while she was there on that evening was that she was pretty upbeat,
Yeah.
happy,
Yes.
not anxious about anything?
No, it didn't seem like it.
So, and I'll strike that. In terms of when Charlie left from that movie night, did you know where she was going?
She hadn't told me that she was going anywhere. I just assumed that she was going back to her house.
So if she did have plans to go somewhere and didn't tell you, it would have been, it could have been that she was keeping it from you.
Judge, objection, it calls for speculation.
The objection is sustained.
I want to talk about, well, let me just ask questions. Was Brooke there the entire time during the movie?
From what I recall, yeah, she was.
Okay, actually, give me 1 second. Okay, do you recall I should strike this. So your testimony is that Brooke was in that front house throughout the whole movie?
From what I recall, yeah, I remember her being in there.
Okay, on February 9th, while you folks are at that house, you testified that your mom brought over food for Charlie, right?
Yes.
Can you, I guess, describe that, how that happened?
I mean, we were all in there watching the movies, so she just kind of walked in. We were all in the garage extra room, so she just walked right in and gave Charlie the food.
When you say the garage extra room, where were you folks watching the movie?
It was in Ryan's room. He had a room that was in the garage.
And that's where the movie was being played, as well as where your mother brought Charlie the food?
Yes.
Is there a bed in that room?
Yes, there is.
And that would be Ryan's bed?
Yeah.
Is that Brooke's bed as well?
Yeah, it would have been at that time.
And so how long, I guess, do you remember what kind of food was brought over?
No, I don't.
Okay, do you remember how long your mother stayed dropping off that food?
It wasn't too long, but I can't recall how long exactly.
I take it that it wasn't just your mom just dropping off the food and leaving though, right?
No.
There was some conversation.
Yes.
Would you say about 5 minutes, 10 minutes?
Maybe 10 minutes, maybe a little longer.
Okay, so you observed your mother observe Charlie while she was at Brooke's place, right?
For a little, yes.
When you and your mother went to Carly's place to check on her, that would have been on February 10th in the evening, before you guys made the missing persons report. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Did you go inside? Well, let's put this in context. On February 10th, prior to you folks making the missing persons report at 10 something in the evening, did you folks do something to check on Charlie?
Yes, we went by her house to see if she was there and just not answering us.
And did you go inside the house?
I had, yes.
Did your mother go inside the house?
I don't believe she did.
Did she look inside?
I believe she did look inside.
How did she look inside?
Through the window, and then when I opened the door, probably just through the door.
Well, is there any reason why she didn't go in the door, through the door when you opened the door?
We realized that
An objection that calls for speculation.
The objection is sustained.
When you opened the door, was there anything stopping your mother from going in?
Nothing stopping her.
Did she go in?
No, she did not. Not that I recall.
So if you don't recall, she very well may have gone in, you just don't recall?
An
Yeah.
objection that calls for speculation.
The objection is sustained.
What were your observations when you went inside of the house?
I had seen Zoe. The first thing I noticed was that she had sheet in the house. There was no water and no food for her.
Well, let me ask you, before you guys went over there, did you try calling Charlie?
Yes, we did.
Who tried?
My mom had tried. I had tried. I believe Brooke had tried that day.
And as far as your attempts, how long before going over to Charlie's house was your attempt?
I believe it was an hour. I had tried calling right when my mom told me.
Do you know when your mother's last attempt was before going over?
No, I don't recall.
Because you did have your cell phone when you went over on that February 10th night. to check on Charlie's residence, right?
Yes.
And did your mother have her cell phone?
Yes.
Now, in terms of making the missing persons report, did you guys intend to make, or did you intend to make a missing persons report based on your observations when you went there on February 10th at night?
Your objection, this is lack of foundation. It calls for speculation as it applies to Ms. Weiss.
Whether she intended to...
The objection is overruled.
Did you formulate a plan to call the police to make missing persons report based on your observations when you went there?
Not me personally.
Your mother?
At that point, I believe that she was thinking about it.
Your objection, again, this is based on speculation. There's no
The objection is
testimony.
sustained.
Thank you.
Well, the thing is, you know that because you guys actually do try to make a missing persons report, right?
Yes.
Now, do either you or your mother call the police while you folks are there to make that missing persons report?
At Charlie's house?
Right.
No.
Now, there's no issue of reception there, is there?
At Charlie's, there was reception.
Instead of calling the police to make a missing persons report, you folks go to Minute Stop, right?
Yeah.
And if Charlie lives over in Makawao, that would be, where's the Minute Stop that you folks went to?
The one in Makawao, right across from Stopwatch.
How far of a drive is that from Charlie's house?
Probably no more than 5 minutes.
Now, is there some reason why you folks didn't want the police to go to Charlie's house?
Objection, it calls for speculation and there's no facts and evidence about this whatsoever.
The objection is sustained.
Then why can't I ask that question?
Because it's called...
It just assumes facts that are not, you know.
You guys, well,
Break for lunch.
well, I guess, yeah, council brings up a good point. Is this a good time for lunch, Your Honor?
That's fine. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll take our lunch recess at this time and reconvene at 1:30. Thank you very much.